a white house tucked in East Nashville, glowing under southern skies, with a porch swing that holds more stories than you'd imagine. Here, Megan Moroney sips her morning coffee, barefoot, guitar in hand, the calm behind the country storm. But how did this Georgia girl rise from college open mics to topping Billboard charts and owning 2 dreamy southern homes? Today, we step inside her world, her house, her heart, and the music that built them both. Before the streaming numbers, before the bright lights of CMA Fest, before Tennessee Orange turned her into a household name, Megan Moroney was just a girl from Savannah, Georgia, with a big voice and an even bigger heart. But where does a voice like that come from? And more importantly, how does it find its way out? Born on October 9, 1997, Megan Ann Moroney came into the world surrounded by music. Not industry studios or radio stations, but family living rooms, southern church choirs, and long car rides filled with country ballads. She grew up in Douglasville, a quiet Georgia town where front porches and Friday night lights still meant everything. Her father played guitar. Her mother loved ballads. And between 2 older brothers, one of whom would become a lawyer, Megan found herself carving out a sound of her own. She started on piano, then moved to vocals, and eventually to something deeper: storytelling through music. In high school, she juggled the life of a cheerleader and a musical theater performer, but even then, something didn't quite fit. Was it the crowd she was trying to impress, or the girl she was trying to become? That answer started to form when she attended the University of Georgia in Athens. Megan initially majored in accounting, a safe choice, a sensible one. But you can only silence a song for so long. Between sorority meetings and lecture halls, she found herself writing lyrics in the margins of notebooks. She switched to marketing, added a music business certificate, and, almost on a whim, signed up to open for country artist John Langston at a campus concert. What happened next wasn't lightning. It wasn't viral. It was quieter than that. But it was real. Her voice, raw, honest, with just the right blend of heartbreak and humor, caught the attention of Christian Bush from Sugarland. Bush didn't just see talent. He saw a storyteller, someone who could carry the torch of country music into a new generation without losing its soul. After graduation in 2020, Megan did what many dreamers before her have done. She packed her things and moved to Nashville. But Nashville isn't kind to everyone. It's a city that tests you, not just your talent, but your patience, your grit, your willingness to be vulnerable night after night. So how did Megan make it? She started small. Her first single, Wonder, released in 2021, didn't explode, but it whispered. And the people who heard it listened. That song would lead to her first EP, Pistol Made of Roses, a clever, heartfelt introduction to who she was and who she was becoming. Then came Tennessee Orange in 2022, a song that would turn everything on its head. Produced by Christian Bush, the track had a simple premise: a girl from Georgia falling for a Tennessee boy. But behind its playful charm was a voice that felt fresh, real, and deeply personal. The kind of song that makes you pull over on a long drive because you need to hear it again. The internet did the rest. The song went viral. Megan signed with Sony Music's Arista Nashville, only to be moved to Columbia Records when the label reorganized, a shakeup that might have derailed other artists. But Megan? She leaned in. She released her debut album, Lucky, in May 2023, an unfiltered, often witty, always vulnerable record that felt more like a diary than a debut. Tracks like I'm Not Pretty and Girl in the Mirror cemented her place as a voice not just for country fans, but for anyone who's ever questioned their reflection and smiled anyway. Rolling Stone called it one of the best country albums of the year. But perhaps the real praise came from fans, thousands of them, across social media, screaming lyrics back to her on tour, holding signs that read, "You wrote my story." By 2024, she'd released a deluxe version of Lucky, a duet with Old Dominion, and a haunting single titled No Caller ID. But she wasn't done yet. In July 2024, Megan released her sophomore album, Am I OK?, a title that feels less like a question and more like a mirror. And as of March 2025, she hit the road on the Am I OK? Tour, selling out venues across North America. From Montreal to Tampa, her words carried across state lines like letters home. But with each song, each stage, each mile traveled, one question echoed louder than any chorus. Could she stay true to herself while the world kept changing around her? That answer, as always, begins and ends at home. Because no matter how big the shows got, Megan always returned to the same place. A White House in Nashville, porch swing swaying, guitar on her lap, and a candle flickering beside a lyric journal. The world knew her as the rising star of modern country. But here, she was just Megan. And this was where her real story began. Home in Nashville. Tucked away in a quiet neighborhood in East Nashville, shaded by whispering trees and kissed by morning birdsong, stands a simple white house with a black roof and a wooden porch swing. It doesn't scream celebrity. It doesn't need to. Because once you step inside, you realize this is where songs are born. This is the home Megan Moroney built, not just with money, but with purpose, with patience, and with the quiet strength of someone who knows where she's going. Built across 2,368 square feet and valued at around $600,000, the house reflects a perfect harmony between vintage charm and youthful creativity, a mirror of the artist who lives within its walls. From the outside, it's crisp and welcoming. Smooth white walls, bold black shingles, and generous windows letting sunlight flood through. A stone walkway leads to a wide wooden porch where Megan often sits with her guitar, writing songs as the city slowly wakes. But open the front door, and something shifts. You're greeted with high ceilings, sunlit oak floors, and a brick fireplace anchoring the central living room, the heart of the home. The color palette is soft. Beige walls, sandy-toned sofas, and a white woven rug underfoot. It feels cozy yet elevated, warm but uncluttered. Like a melody that doesn't try too hard, it just works. Next to the living room, the open-concept kitchen invites both cooking and conversation. Upgraded with bright quartz countertops, white cabinetry, and sleek stainless steel appliances, it's where music industry friends often gather for quiet dinners and late-night lyric swaps. More than a kitchen, it's a collaborative space, a creative womb. But perhaps the most intimate corner of the house is the primary bedroom, nestled on the ground floor and bathed in natural light. A soft white curtain sways gently beside a garden view window. Through a sliding door, the ensuite bathroom feels like a private spa, with white subway tiles, a standalone soaking tub, and a glass-enclosed rainfall shower that melts away the weight of long tours and endless spotlight. Upstairs, the story deepens. There, guest rooms are thoughtfully styled with gentle tones, but one room in particular stands out. It's Megan's mini home studio. Soundproof foam panels line the walls in pastel pink. A Neumann mic stands tall beside an acoustic guitar. The whiteboard across from the desk is covered in half-written lyrics and melody sketches. It's here that pieces of her second album, Am I OK?, came to life, on stormy nights, quiet mornings, or somewhere in between. And then, there's the backyard. A wide, grassy stretch opens into a wooden deck, framed with warm string lights and flanked by a rustic outdoor dining set. This is Megan's favorite space. Not because of what it has, but because of what it gives. Room to breathe, room to strum, room to be. She often hosts acoustic sessions here, friends gathered around, laughter echoing, dogs weaving through chairs, and a sense of calm that not even the biggest stadiums can match. You see, Nashville may be the beating heart of country music, but for Megan, this home is the pulse of her own rhythm, steady, sincere, and unapologetically Southern. Each room in this house doesn't just serve a function. It tells a story. The sleepless nights tweaking lyrics in the kitchen, the quiet tears after a breakup cried into a pillow in the bedroom, the spontaneous voice memo captured in the backyard between bites of barbecue. This is not a palace. It's not a shrine to fame. It's something far more rare. A real artist's sanctuary. Imperfect, lived in, and layered with soul. And maybe that's why, no matter how far Megan Moroney travels, she always finds her way back to this little white house in East Nashville. Because in a world that's constantly changing, this place reminds her, and all of us, what staying grounded really looks like. But if her Nashville home is where the music takes shape, then her Savannah house is where the heart remembers why the music matters. House in Savannah. Long before record deals and backstage passes, there was Savannah. A southern city filled with oak-lined streets, sweet tea on porches, and the steady hum of cicadas in the summertime. And in the quiet suburbs of this town stands Megan Moroney's Georgia home, a place less polished than Nashville, but somehow even more personal. Built in 2002 and estimated at around $500,000, this house sits on just over half an acre of land, not sprawling, not grand, but rich in warmth and character. It isn't just a retreat, it's a return. A red brick driveway guides you through a canopy of Japanese maples, leading to a front yard with a rain garden and a three-tiered fountain that babbles softly, as if whispering welcome home. Instead of manicured lawns and sculpted hedges, the landscaping feels organic, almost whimsical, a cross between a southern backyard and a hidden woodland grove. And when you step inside, something changes. The first thing that hits you is light, natural, golden, and abundant. Thanks to tall ceilings and oversized windows, the main living area feels more like a sunroom than a traditional lounge. Polished hardwood floors, soft neutral walls, and furniture that blends elegance with comfort. This isn't a showpiece, it's a sanctuary. The kitchen and dining area flows seamlessly into the living space, reflecting a sense of openness. Like this home was always meant for conversations, not just convenience. White cabinets, stainless appliances, and a subtle farmhouse aesthetic make it the perfect setting for quiet mornings and late-night soul food. This is where Megan has hosted post-concert debriefs, holiday dinners, and those sacred solo nights when lyrics spill more easily over a glass of red wine. The primary bedroom, located on the main floor, offers solitude with intention. A queen-sized bed facing wide windows that open onto the wooded backyard. The additional bedrooms upstairs have been adapted over the years, sometimes serving as guest rooms, sometimes as makeshift studios. It's in these spaces, surrounded by childhood keepsakes and echoes of yesterday, that Megan often reconnects with the emotions behind her earliest songs. But the real heart of this home lies just beyond the back door. Step outside, and you're greeted by an 800-square-foot rear patio, dressed in smooth stone and lined with lanterns. This isn't just a porch. It's a stage, a coffee nook, a writing desk under the stars. Beyond that, a patch of woodland garden blends seamlessly into the horizon, offering a quiet buffer from the outside world. Megan has spoken about this spot in interviews, how she'll sometimes sit here in the mornings with a steaming mug, listening to the birds and letting her mind wander, or how she FaceTimed a young fan battling cancer from this very patio, not out of PR obligation, but because, as she put it, it just felt like the right moment to be human. You can see why she keeps this home. It's not a backup house or an investment property. It's a memory, a promise, a place where her roots still live and breathe. When the chaos of tours becomes too much, when the spotlight gets too bright, this is the haven where she recharges, where the silence is familiar, not lonely, where lyrics don't have to rhyme, and she doesn't have to be anything other than Megan, daughter, sister, Southern girl. The Savannah home may not appear on magazine covers, but it doesn't need to, because within its walls lives something more precious than fame, belonging. From Savannah's soft sunsets to Nashville's creative mornings, Megan Moroney's life moves between two worlds, one rooted in memory, the other blooming with momentum. But how does a girl who once sang at sorority fundraisers now own two Southern homes, top the country charts, and lead a nationwide tour? The answer, quietly and steadily, is building beneath the melodies. Not every fortune is loud. Some are written in streaming numbers, ticket stubs, and nights spent perfecting a single verse in a bedroom studio. As of 2025, Megan Moroney's estimated net worth sits at $2 million, a remarkable feat for an artist whose debut single dropped just a few years ago. But unlike the flash and fade riches of overnight fame, Megan's fortune has been built the old-fashioned way, through craft, commitment, and connection. Through all of it, Megan hasn't traded authenticity for opulence. Her homes are charming but lived in. Her wardrobe leans more denim and boots than diamonds and gowns. Her music remains the center of it all, not just a means to wealth, but the reason she's earned it. Her $2 million fortune isn't about excess. It's about independence. The power to own her masters, steer her career, and turn down what doesn't feel true. Because for Megan Moroney, success isn't measured in jets or red carpets. It's measured in freedom. The freedom to write, to rest, to rise on her own terms. And if this is what she's built in just a few short years, one can only imagine what the next chapter holds. Philanthropy. For someone whose lyrics often carry the sting of heartbreak or the wit of Southern sass, Megan Moroney has never needed a spotlight to show compassion. Her generosity? It doesn't come with hashtags or grand announcements. It comes quietly, sincerely, just like her rise to stardom. The story begins not in Nashville, but in a university auditorium at the University of Georgia. Back then, Megan wasn't a charting artist. She was a Kappa Delta sorority member, a student, and a young woman unsure of where music would take her. But when the sorority held a campus-wide fundraiser to support women and children's charities, Megan said yes to something simple. I'll sing. No manager, no stage lighting, no band, just her voice, a borrowed microphone, and a heart full of hope. That night wasn't just a performance. It was a seed, the start of something deeper. Years later, with thousands of fans chanting her lyrics, Megan never lost that instinct to show up for people, especially when they're most in need. One of her most touching moments came not from a red carpet, but from her hometown of Savannah, Georgia. After a local concert, Megan learned of a young fan, a girl undergoing chemotherapy who was too sick to attend the show. Most would have sent a signed t-shirt. Megan? She FaceTimed her one-on-one in the quiet of her dressing room. They talked, laughed, cried a little. It wasn't for the press. There were no cameras rolling. It was just two girls, one with a guitar, the other with courage, sharing a moment of real connection. But that spirit of compassion didn't stop there. At the iHeart Country Festival, where stars shine under stadium lights, Megan took part in a special meet-and-greet campaign in support of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Fans who donated got a chance to meet her backstage, but Megan made sure the spotlight stayed on the cause. She listened to every story, hugged every fan, and reminded them again and again that kindness isn't about volume, it's about presence. Behind the scenes, Megan has continued to lend her voice to causes supporting childhood cancer research, mental health awareness, and female empowerment within the country music industry. Not with flashy galas or viral stunts, but with music that speaks for those who often go unheard. Because for Megan, giving back isn't an obligation. It's an extension of who she is. Her fans feel that. They see it in the way she looks people in the eyes at signings, in the way she reads every handwritten letter, in the way she tears up when someone tells her, "Your song got me through my divorce. Your voice helped me love myself again. Your music made me feel seen." And maybe that's the greatest gift she gives. Not just money, not just moments, but meaning. In a world where artists often get swept up in image, Megan Moroney remains rooted in something more rare: intention. To sing truthfully, to care quietly, to show up, even when nobody's watching. And perhaps that's why her career feels less like a marketing machine and more like a movement. Because beneath the eyeliner, the southern drawl, and the platinum blonde curls, there's a woman who hasn't forgotten what really matters. A woman who remembers what it feels like to be the girl in the crowd, not just the one on stage. Her music moves people. Her kindness heals quietly. But when the lights fade and the applause dies down, who is Megan Moroney when she's not on stage? To understand the artist, you have to step inside the silence. That's where the real Megan lives. Personal life. Fame doesn't always feel loud in Megan Moroney's world. Most mornings begin not with makeup chairs or backstage chaos, but with black coffee on her front porch in East Nashville. Barefoot, hair in a bun. Just her, a notebook, and the sound of the city slowly waking. It's this simplicity, this stillness, that fuels everything she creates. Despite her rising fame, Megan's lifestyle remains refreshingly grounded. She walks her own groceries in. She calls her mom after shows. She keeps in touch with childhood friends from Douglasville. There are no entourages, no velvet ropes, no illusion. Instead, there's a woman who values space, not just in her home, but in her heart. Her days are often split between songwriting sessions, quiet hours in her home studio, and long walks through East Nashville's leafy streets. On weekends, you might find her curled up on her back patio, watching SEC football, especially if the Georgia Bulldogs are playing. Yes, she's a serious fan. No, she doesn't take game days lightly. And though tabloids once buzzed with rumors about her and country superstar Morgan Wallen, Megan has always kept her personal life just that, personal. She confirmed in 2024 that their connection had been real, but fleeting. "It was never really a relationship," she said with a smile, "but it was a story worth a song." Since then, she's chosen solitude over spectacle. Earlier this year, Megan was briefly linked to a mystery man outside the industry, someone who, she said, made her laugh more than he asked about chart positions. But today, she's single by choice, focused on her music, her friends, and the strange, beautiful freedom that comes with being alone, but not lonely. Her closest circle includes a few trusted collaborators, a tight group of girlfriends from her college days, and a loyal rescue dog named, fittingly, Lucky. He follows her everywhere, onto the tour bus, into the recording booth, even onto the bed when she's rewriting lyrics at midnight. Travel plays a quiet role in her life too. Between tour stops, she makes time for small escapes. The Smoky Mountains, Savannah weekends with her parents, or the occasional road trip down Highway 30A. She doesn't post much about these getaways. Sometimes she doesn't take photos at all, because not every memory needs a filter. If there's a word that defines Megan Moroney's personal life, it might be this: rhythm. Not just the rhythm of melodies or applause, but the deeper rhythm of learning when to give, when to retreat, when to be loud, and when to simply be. She's not chasing perfection. She's protecting peace. And that, perhaps more than any platinum record, is what makes Megan's lifestyle feel so rare. Not a performance, not a persona, just a quiet, country heart, beating steadily behind every song. If Megan Moroney's story moved you, Her voice, her heart, her homes? Let us know in the comments below. Which part of her journey felt the most personal to you? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell to explore more stories of country stars who live, love, and sing with soul.